I went to Medford High School, and there, when it is your senior year, there is this thing called S-Trip. It is an organization that plans senior trips for schools. My friends and I were not interested at first and figured we would plan our own trip to somewhere. But once two of our friends, Brennan and Paul, realized that if they organized it, they could get money off their own trip, suddenly all 13 of us were dragged into. We were going to Punta Cana, and it was booked for exactly 1 week after graduation. Leading up to the trip, we were told it was not going to be worth it, and that the hotel was one of spring break trash and bedbugs. Most people were warning me that by the end of the week, I was going to come home and probably be friends with only one of the people in the whole group of friends I've left with. We were told that we were going to have chaperones and schedules that we would have to follow, and we were going to make it feel like we weren't even on vacation at all.
We ended up leaving on June 12th for our week-long vacation. From our school, there was a total group of 20 of us that ended up going. All people I knew well, but wasn't too close with. Our parents all dropped us off at my friend Brendan's house, where we took the shuttle bus to the airport, and they each shared their concerns of at least one of us not making it back. Arriving to the airport was exciting in itself because no one had anything in order, and all of our suitcases were overweight, but still, we were the happiest people you could possibly find. Our group chaperone quickly realized that this was going to be a lot of work as we were all digging through our suitcases and stuffing anything we could fit into our carry-ons. Within just the first moments at the airport, the few people I was not close friends with out of the group from my school quickly became good friends. We boarded the plane and the group for S-Trip took up the back half. The flight there was surprisingly quick. We arrived in Punta at about 10 a.m. and the humidity hit like a wave. We rushed off the plane and went straight to the duty-free, buying as much alcohol as we could fit into the extra carry-ons which we had brought specifically for this purpose. Then, after checking out, we waited for the rest of the group at the tiny airport bar.
Check-in at the hotel went quick. I was rooming with my closest friends, Raquel and Danny, and once we got into our room, we picked our beds, changed right into our bathing suits, and headed straight for the pool. We ended up falling into a pattern. We would wake up by around 10, get breakfast, and head to our spot on the beach. Stay there until around 2, wait for the rest of our people to get up, and then go to the pool.
By the time we got to the pool, we were usually just getting sober from the night before, so it was time to start drinking again, and our bartender, Salas, was always happy to see us come around. At 6, we would start leaving the pool in small groups to get ready for dinner. After dinner, we would pregame and then go to either the beach party or club. When we returned, it was mostly a blur, but we made a habit of staying up until the sunrise and watching it on the beach most mornings. Then we would head back to the rooms and sleep for a few hours until someone came knocking at our door, looking for someone or something, and woke us all up, and then it would all start again. Despite falling into such a laid-back routine, each day came with its unique highlights. We all decided one morning to go banana boating because it only costed $7 a person. We found out after we paid that half of the handles on the banana boat were missing, and needless to say, we were stopped every minute during the ride because someone had fallen off again. The pool foam party was one of the big events that we had been looking forward to all week. It sounded awesome in theory, but we got to the pool bar and took some shots, and then the foam started shooting out of the cannons, and I was not expecting a near-death experience. I entered the crowd by the foam, and as the foam grew, so did my anxiety. I could not see my friends Raquel and Danny, who had gone in right in front of me, but I heard their screams. We were literally engulfing foam. Once we finally made it back out, I found myself a permanent seat back at the bar and decided to take pictures because there was nothing enjoyable about that experience at all, but we still found it pretty funny. One of the days, I made the great decision of completing my dream of swimming with sharks. I thought it was a great deal considering I got to do an excursion with both sharks and stingrays for only $30, but my mom was not so thrilled when I called to tell her my plans. She was quite certain that the price meant that the equipment was far from safe and I was making a horrible decision. A group of 6 of my friends all signed up, and we took a tiny motorboat over to some island.
Stingrays were first, and were interesting but also disgusting and very slimy. We were then told to put on our snorkels and life vests and jump in the pool full of sharks. We could not see a single thing in the water beneath us. We just knew there were massive sharks swimming around us. They did not allow us to take pictures of them, and didn't tell us why. And the only thing really keeping them from biting us was apparently that they were well fed. It was terrifying. But my friend Sammy wasn't all thrilled and instead took off his life vest in order to swim right up next to the sharks. At first, I saw the floating life vest and freaked out because I figured that could never be a good sign. But then the whistle started blowing and I looked under the water and realized it was Sammy, and the rest of us were literally choking on our snorkels, laughing at how stupid he looked.
One of our best nights was at some hotel casino that none of us really wanted to go to. We were supposed to be going to the club at a hotel, but all of our friends were completely glued to the casino tables, even though they were losing every time. I learned my friend MJ was likely going to develop a gambling problem if he didn't already have one because he blew $300 of his parents' money on top of the rest of what he had for the rest of his trip. Myself and my friend Lucy made friends with some Portuguese man who had reserved a section of the club, and my friends all ended up loving the man for some reason I never really figured out. When it was finally time to leave, Tyler was trying to show off his dance moves and face-planted so hard his nose was rug burned from the casino floor. The night was slightly a disaster, but I don't think I ever actually stopped laughing, and still remember dreading knowing it was coming to an end, and with it, so was our vacation. The trip ended the way it started, with each of us at a stool in the airport bar. Despite what everyone had said, I was even closer to my friends than when we had left. That's not to say we didn't have our share of fights and arguments, but by the time we had left, we were literally laughing at them. Our trip home was a disaster, with our flight out of Punta being delayed and the connecting flight home from New York getting canceled. We were all getting hit with our week-long hangover, and we were going to be stuck in the JFK airport for 3 days. So I decided to find all of us a different way home, and we took Peter Pan buses back to Boston after sitting in the bus station with cockroaches from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. And even then, we were still enjoying the last bit of our vacation.
We made it!
Punta Cana was easily the greatest vacation of my life. I spent 7 days doing the stupidest things with some of my favorite people, and I would not trade it for the world. There is not a single time we are all together that Punta isn't somehow brought up in the conversation. It marked the end of our high school years together, but drove out my fear that college was going to make us distant from each other.